From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Friday, September 19th, 2014. Silver is trading at $18.43 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,223 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $391. Antiwar.com reports, in a 78-22 vote yesterday, the Senate passed the same bill the House of Representatives passed on Wednesday, approving the Obama administration's plan to train and arm a new faction of some 5,000 vetted and moderate Syrian rebels. The plan is to recruit various existing Syrian rebels to go off and train as a new force, fitting the U.S. ideal of a moderate rebel faction to back, and then in a year send them back to Syria to fight the Islamic State. Despite considerable reticence about the plan, apparent during Secretary of State John Kerry's testimony to the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, the vote was not particularly close. The vote is expected to be the only war-related vote the Senate will address before November elections, with senators very keen to delay any broad resolution on the war itself until after the election. House Majority Leader Kevin McCarthy offered the same assessment in his own comments earlier this week, saying that there would likely be some sort of debate about an authorization of use of military force sometime after November. The Obama administration insists they don't need any authorization for the war at all, and by the end of November, the war is going to be extremely entrenched and difficult to roll back. Many members of Congress likely to vote for the war fear a backlash from voters if they do, and so they are waiting for the post-election period and hope that the votes won't be a political issue. FPP Radio News is brought to you by Roberts & Roberts Brokerage. For over 35 years, Roberts & Roberts has been a trusted source for buying and selling your investment-grade precious metals. They now take Bitcoin for purchasing precious metals so you can turn your profits into a long-term investment. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on investing. 800-874-9760. Reuters reports Canada, one of the harshest critics of Russia's involvement in Ukraine, this week quietly canceled sanctions against Expo Bank and Rosenergo Bank, two small Russian banks on which it imposed measures earlier this year. The cancellations were put into effect at the same time as new sanctions were announced by Foreign Affairs Minister John Baird on Tuesday, including adding Russia's Sberbank to the list, but his news release made no mention of lifting the measures against the two banks. Expo Bank ranks as about the 100th largest bank in Russia by assets. Rosenergo Bank had income of $4.2 million in 2012 and assets of $1.01 billion, according to Moody's Investment Services. Quizzed about it in the House of Commons on Thursday after Reuters reported the news, Baird said that the decision was made after the government got new information and undertook further analysis. He said, without explaining how they got on the list in the first place, they are deemed to be sufficiently divorced from events in Ukraine and Russian aggression against Ukraine. The lifting of the sanctions was mentioned obliquely in an amendment to the Russian Special Economic Measures regulations on the Canadian Foreign Affairs Department website, referring only to the repealing of items 2 and 3 on a particular part of the list. Expo Bank had always been disputed in its inclusion on the sanctions and had appealed to be taken off. You can support FPP Radio by shopping online. Whether you're looking for t-shirts, precious metals, bitcoins, or books, you'll find that and more at shop.fppradio.com. Every purchase you make from one of my affiliates at shop.fppradio.com helps fund FPP Radio. That's shop.fppradio.com. The Guardian reports Scotland stepped back from the brink of ending the 307-year-old union with England and Wales, and Scottish voters decided by a considerable margin to stay with the United Kingdom. With all 32 of Scotland's local authorities having declared their results, 55% of voters cast ballots to reject Scottish independence. But the Yes campaign scored a handful of notable successes, succeeding in the largest city of Glasgow by 53 to 47%, winning 54% in West Dunbartonshire, and a convincing 57% win in Dundee. In his concession speech, Alex Salmond said, "Let us not dwell on the distance we have fallen short. Let us dwell on the distance we have traveled." This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.